You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Morning, it's October the 23rd, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News with News Hawks, Reverend Kelly, and myself, L. Graham. We're live here at the Legacy420.com news desk at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Good morning, Rev Kelly. How you doing today?
You look like a giant. My camera's doing something different where I'm little and mini. Fee, fi, fo, fum. Al, was it so frosty this morning on your car and outside? Because it was really frosty where I was today.
Yeah, it was really frosty. Whenever I took the dog for a walk before the show, and anywhere there was shade, it was still covered in frost. But I can tell you, I still got a couple ladies in the ground, and they were just perky as could be.
Oh, that's good news. Okay, I didn't realize you had a couple of plants out there. So you're just going to let them go a little bit further in the frost? It's good for them?
Well, it's just they're not quite ready yet, and I thought, well, I'm gonna push them.
Keep them going. Sounds good. Yeah, it is harvest season, isn't it?
Correct. Exactly. It just seems harvest season sometimes just keeps going.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Well, that's always a good thing, right? So, anything new and exciting you want to get to before we get to the news?
Nothing really. Anything you gotta tell us for today?
No, not that I can think of offhand.
Okay. We'll think of some stuff if we can.
Just
think
the
about
news.
It later. Just the news.
Just the news, and here we go. First up, we've got from the Daily Hive. Could Canada legalize magic mushrooms? We ask federal parties their stance. What do you think? Before we even get into it, what do you think, Rev Kelly? Before we even get into it, do you think Canada could legalize magic mushrooms?
I think they could do it. I think they should do it with educational purposes and medicinal purposes. And I think it's possible. I think if anybody has any say to it, like this fella here, he'll do it for the money. He'll like it for the money. Advocates and business owners are pushing for psilocybin mushrooms to be legalized in Canada, but the federal parties seem less than keen to make it happen soon.
Canada just celebrated the 5th anniversary of cannabis legalization, and BC is going even further by decriminalizing possession of hard drugs in an effort to combat overdose deaths.
At the same time, mushroom dispensaries are popping up in many Canadian cities, with owners and advocates envisioning a similar path to legalization as cannabis when not quite legal dispensaries dotted Vancouver's corners long before the substance was officially legalized.
Health Canada is also approving exemptions for certain patients to consume psilocybin within the context of a clinical trial. Plus, if you spend some time scrolling on TikTok, it won't be long before you stumble across a young Canadian touting the benefits of microdosing. All around, it appears magic mushrooms are shedding their stigma and becoming more widely accepted. Stigma? I don't know. But yeah.
In fact, Vancouver-based advocate Dana Larson believes we may only be a few short years away from federal legalization, saying this is going to get legalized in the next 5-10 years. We're moving towards this. Larson told Daily Hive last month it's coming. It's very similar to cannabis in the late 90s and early 2000s.
But are Canadian politicians ready to give psilocybin proponents what they want in the next election? Daily Hive sent requests to the 4 major Canadian political parties to ask whether they consider making psilocybin legalization part of their platform for the next election in 2025. Good question.
Now, Parker Lund, who's the director of communications for the Liberal Party of Canada, he didn't reveal much. He only said that the platform hasn't been created yet.
The Liberal platform, this is what he says, is that the Liberal platform for the next election will be developed through conversations with business, labor, environmental, Indigenous, and community leaders across Canada, in addition through consultations with Liberal caucus, grassroots Liberals, and Canadians across the country.
Okay, so the Conservative Party of Canada, Canada's new Democratic Party, and the Green Party of Canada did not return Daily Hive's request for comment, Al. So the Liberal Party was the only one that even responded.
Yeah. Why did the others stay silent? Now, the Liberals didn't really answer the question straight out either.
No. But at least they replied.
At least they replied. Correct. Exactly. And, give it time. See what happens.
That's right.
Down the road. All right.
Let's see.
Next story. This one comes from the University of Alberta. The headline says that women are turning to cannabis to treat menopause symptoms, according to a study.
It's a new study from the University of Alberta, and it's suggesting that many women in Alberta use cannabis to treat symptoms of menopause, despite a lack of evidence that it is effective for menopause symptoms.
Yeah, Catherine Babin, a second-year medical student who completed the study as part of her program, says that this research highlights that women are using cannabis as an alternative option to manage their symptoms. It also highlights issues around menopause care in general, that women are seeking other options to manage their symptoms.
Now, the study involved 1,485 women aged 35 and older living in Alberta who completed an online survey about their cannabis use patterns in relation to reported menopause symptoms. Of the respondents, about 1/3 reported currently using cannabis, while 66% used it at some point. Of current users, 75% indicated using cannabis for medical purposes. Most common symptoms were for improving sleep, reducing anxiety, and relieving muscle and joint aches.
The exploratory study was designed to inform further research into why and how women use cannabis to help create clinical tools for healthcare providers and educational material for the woman. When Babin and co-author Ness Yersko, a professor at the Facility of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, and Babin's supervisor during her master's degrees, searched the scientific literature for studies on cannabis and menopause, they noticed a lack of published research.
Okay. Saying, even when we looked at specific symptoms that related to what a woman might experience during menopause, there weren't any randomized controlled trials that suggested cannabis could be effective therapy option for menopause symptoms, says Yasko, who's also a member of the Women and Children's Health Research Institute, and she's the incoming president of the Canadian Menopause Society. Interesting.
As says, the fact that we are able to survey such a large number of women shows that there is an interest in this area and it's an important topic to continue investigating.
For sure. In her previous clinical work at the menopause clinic at the Lois Hole Hospital for Women, Yuxel noticed more women using cannabis to alleviate symptoms that they didn't realize were the result of menopause or perimenopause, which is the time leading up to menopause.
Yuxko says it's not just the hot flashes and night sweats, it's the sleeping issues, it's the mood issues, it's the brain fog and that difficulty with concentration, which a lot of women talk about, but they may not understand that these could be related to menopause.
Babin adds that women may choose to consume cannabis or natural health products because they come from natural sources, leading to the belief that natural options are safer or healthier alternatives to pharmaceutical or synthetic drugs.
Now, Babin goes on and says it's well known that that natural does not necessarily equate to safer or better. To establish if cannabis is safer or more effective, you really need these randomized controlled trials, just like all the other drug options that are studied.
Despite this, Yuxel says the internet is full of information about using cannabis in menopause. She says, we want to be able to guide women because we have a lot of questions. We get a lot of questions.
Management options for menopause in Canada include menopausal hormone therapy, non-hormonal prescription medications, lifestyle modifications, and complementary Therapy, such as cognitive behavior therapy. Current menopause guidelines recommend menopausal hormone therapy as the most effective option for treating bothersome vasomotor symptoms.
Okay. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of fear of MHT. That's a real issue. That's the menopausal hormone therapy. She's trying to do a lot with the Canadian Menopause Society to bring awareness on feeling uncomfortable using MHT in the right population. For example, it can be safely considered in women who are less than 60 years of age or less than 10 years menopause without contraindications. Oh my goodness, it sounds scary.
Bringing awareness to healthcare providers is also important for Babin and Yexko because the stigma towards aging in women in menopause can lead to less open communications for patients seeking treatment. Yexko says it's about making women feel comfortable talking, even sharing that they may be having issues.
Because of the stigma, the fear of MHT, and a lot of misinformation out there, women start finding their own solutions. This study is reflective of the fact that there may be a lot of women not getting help they deserve or need at the time. Of course, they're looking up alternatives. They want to use cannabis therapy, and that's brilliant that they're looking at it that way.
Now they say, for the second phase of their mixed method study, Babin and Yexko have also explored why the women they surveyed turned to cannabis as a treatment method. In addition, an information pamphlet about cannabis and menopause, including current evidence and support, is being developed.
Oh, yes. Saying it's not that we are advocating for cannabis for menopause symptoms. We believe there should be more research in this area so that we have the evidence to support. I'm advocating for it, Al. I am here, even if Yuxel isn't.
That's right. There you go. Now, they say that we did provide a snapshot of what is happening in this area, and the women are using cannabis as an option for managing their menopause symptoms, and there should be more investigations moving on forward from this data.
Cool. That's cool, because it sounds like she's like apprehensive about getting on board, but the fact that she's at least admitting, oh, well, they're talking about it. We're investing. Like, that's, for someone that's like, doing that whole thing, but now they have evidence. It's right in front of their faces. Hello. It's good.
Exactly. It's right there, and maybe more studies be done and more women will look into using cannabis for their menopause.
Beautiful.
All right. Up next. Headline from Marijuana Moment says federal court hears case challenging DEA decision denies psilocybin rescheduling. Petition without consulting health officials.
Boy, a federal court appeals court panel heard arguments this past Friday in the case of Seattle-based doctor who's asking the federal government reschedule psilocybin, part of his effort to clear a path for terminally ill cancer patients to legally use the substance to help treat end-of-life depression and anxiety.
Lawyers for the doctor say the DEA dropped the ball when rejecting the psilocybin rescheduling petition outright, arguing that the agency instead should have referred to the matter to the Department of Health and Human Services to evaluate the substance's medical use before reaching a final decision.
Matt Zorn, one of the attorneys representing Dr. Sungil Agarwal, accused the DEA at oral argument of wanting to control the practice of medicine. Yeah.
Agarwal has been working since at least 2020 to find a way to legally obtain psilocybin for patients in palliative care. He initially sought to win permission from regulators under state and federal right to try laws, which allow patients with terminal diseases to try investigational medications that haven't been generally approved.
Wow. When DEA rebuffed that request, Agarwal sued. But in early 2022, a federal appellate panel dismissed the lawsuit, opinining that the court lacked jurisdiction because DEA's rejection of Agarwal's administrative request didn't constitute a reviewable agency action.
The current case filed in the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Ninth Circuit stems from Agarwal's response in last year's ruling. In February 2022, the doctor filed a formal petition with DEA to reschedule psilocybin from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 under the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Rev Kelly, I gotta go deal with the dog. She's growling
Of
at me.
course.
So you keep going, and I'll be back shortly.
The following September, DEA denied the rescheduling petition, writing in a letter to Agarwal that prerequisite to transferring a substance from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 under the CSA is for the Food and Drug Administration to conclude that a substance has a currently accepted medical use in the United States. Now, to date, the FDA has not articulated any accepted medical use for psilocybin in treatment, DEA said in the letter. According to the CSA, requires that psilocybin remain in Schedule 1. Now, the case heard Friday, Agarwal versus DEA, is the doctor's challenge to that denial. The matter is before Judges Sandra Ukato, Bridget Bade, and Daniel Bress. Bade and Bress were appointed by President Donald Trump. Like Urgota was appointed by President George W. Bush. Wow, they've been around for a long time.
The government insists that Agarwal's rescheduling petition did not address the 5 elements required to show the substance has a currently accepted medical use, let alone attempt to satisfy them, according to a filing in May that details a 5-part test, which was established by the DEA in 1992.
Now, the 5 parts are whether the substance chemistry is known and reproducible, whether there are adequate safety studies, whether there are adequate and well-controlled studies proving efficacy, whether the substance is accepted by qualified experts, and whether the scientific evidence is widely available.
Agarwal and his lawyers maintain that the 5-part test is unlawful. During the oral argument, Zorn also rejected the idea that the petition failed to address the 5 elements. A lengthy review paper included with the petition, he said, meet all of the evidence of the 5-part test, but DEA simply didn't evaluate it.
Wow. Judge says, this is an easy case. They didn't even consider the petition that we put before them. He said that to the judge. It's an easy case.
Yeah. DEA is front-running the practice of medicine, is preventing doctors to use treatments for which there is safety and efficacy evidence, and is doing that using the 5-part test, Zone continued.
In briefs, Agarwal's lawyers noted that the government has acknowledged that the petition presents evidence showing psilocybin is eligible for use in compassionate use programs, receiving multiple breakthrough therapy designations, and is in late stage clinical trials. So they're admitting this. They're admitting that.
It continues with showing a substance has achieved the designation noted above, along with successful phase 1 and 2 clinical trials, as the petition did, establishes currently accepted medical use with severe restrictions as a matter of law. While the DEA wants the appellant panel to return the petition to the agency, Agarwal's attorneys say judges should instead refer the matter to HHS, which is better qualified to make a determination about psilocybin's medical potential.
Holy. Whereas here, a petition presents evidence such that HHS could conclude that the substance has a currently accepted medical use with severe restrictions under past precedents. A petition must be referred to HHS, their brief says. HHS's superior authority over science medicine is meaningless if DEA can develop a legal standard for accepted medical use, evaluate the evidence as a gatekeeper, and deny petitions as the threshold without ever giving HHS a chance to weigh in. No.
Yeah, that's not right. The lawsuit takes issue with the government's assertion that the DEA only needs to refer petitions to HHS when DEA itself seeks to make scheduling changes, not when the agency is rejecting a petition. As far as petitioners are aware, no one, no court, federal agency, scholar, or anyone else has ever endorsed such a view of the CSA.
Wow.
Brief said.
What a fight over this, eh? And this is in Seattle? Of the 3 judges on the panel, only Bress asked questions during Friday's oral argument. At one point, he asked the Department of Justice lawyer Catherine Petty exactly when DEA believes it has to refer a petition to the HHS.
Patty dodged the question about petitions generally, instead repeating the Agarwal's petition in particular failed to direct directly address DEA's 5-part test. The petition has to really make a showing that this is so, she replied, and that is something the petition did not do.
Interesting, it did not. That's right. Wow. While Bress asked tough questions on both sides, he seemed to zero in on the DEA's lack of thorough explanation and its denial of Agarwal's rescheduling position. There's no engagement with the substance of the petitioner's arguments here.
Yeah. Well, there's no argument in the petition that corresponds to the test the DEA has applied for decades, the government attorney replied. This letter doesn't say that. Your brief says that, right? Responded Bress. I don't even see how you could read that into the letter.
Woo. Each side was given 20 minutes Friday to argue their case. Zorn led off using 15 minutes and reserving 5 for rebuttal. Padhai, meanwhile, spoke once, using only about half an hour of the government's allotted time.
And towards the end of the argument, Zorn made a human plea on behalf of Agarwal's patients. The only difference between Schedule 1 drug and Schedule 2 drug that hasn't been approved by the DEA is that doctors, such as my client and other doctors, can use the treatment in severely restricted, expanded access for right to try scenarios to treat patients. That's what the DEA is getting in the way of.
Wow. And it's a doctor, like an actual medical professional. It's not a shaman. It's not a minister. It's an actual medical doctor. My clients and the doctors, right? And they're saying, they're saying no to this guy. He wants to use it for treatment. And they're saying no. Delaying this matter for years based on this unlawful 5-part test doesn't do justice for anyone. Well done, Zorn.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Even Agarwal's effort has winded its way through the courts. A number of studies have strengthened the case for psilocybin's legitimate medical use. And last month, for example, researchers at Johns Hopkins and Ohio State Universities published a report that linked psilocybin use to persistent reductions in depression, anxiety, and alcohol misuse, as well as increases in emotional regulation, spiritual well-being, and extroversion.
Wow.
Yeah.
The results were highly consistent with the growing body of clinical trial, behavioral, pharmacological, and epidemiological, I'm saying that wrong, I'm sure, data on psilocybin, authors of the study said. Overall, these data provide an important window in the current resurgence of public interest into classic psychedelics and the outcomes of contemporaneous increases in naturalistic psilocybin use. It's not just for hippies anymore,
No, it's not. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
They've got to see this. Doctors are coming out of the closet and saying, hello.
Yeah, as the 2 next paragraphs mentioned, the AMA, the American Medical Association, found that it helped people with major depression. And then a survey by Canadian researchers published earlier this month says psilocybin use can help ease psychological distress in people who had adverse experiences as children.
Absolutely. So many things, and it's coming across.
Yeah.
So that goes back to our original article that we were talking about. Will it happen in Canada? Will it? You asked me that question. I'm going to ask you that question. Do you think it's going to become legal, psilocybin?
I'm going
the way
to
that Dana wants it to be, the way that Dana's predicting?
I think it's. I'm going to be with Dana. We're looking 5 or 10 years down the road.
Wow. Okay. You heard it here first, folks. Al Graham said
tomorrow.
5 or 10.
Yeah. And really, the way things are looking, I can't see it happening with 3 of the parties didn't even respond to the questionnaire. So that gives you a bit of an idea. Yeah. All right. On to our next story. From MJ Biz Daily, Canadian cannabis sales rise in August, surpassing $3 billion for 2023.
Holy, yeah, it's the recreational cannabis industry continuing to experience steady monthly growth this year. Sales in August rising to 464.2 million Canadian dollars, or a 4% increase over July. And that's according to the latest data released by Stats Canada.
However, the annual trend continues to show a significant deceleration in growth. In 2021, from January to August, sales rose 59% over the previous year. And in 2022, sales in the respective months increased 20.5% from 2021 to $2.9 billion.
So far this year, recreational cannabis sales have increased approximately 13.7% year over year to roughly $3.34 billion, Al Graham. $3.34 billion is what the increase has put them over. What?
Yeah. And just think that, I think that some of the states, that's just one state, never mind the whole
State, like
country.
Michigan, yeah.
In August, recreational cannabis sales in Canada's largest provincial economies rose by $12 million compared to the previous month, an increase of 7%. And the second biggest rise in provincial sales occurred in BC, where the recreational cannabis was almost $3 million in August over July. 73 million, basically $74 million.
Jeez. Quebec sales just inched by 55.9 million in August. That's because they won't let any flavored edibles.
Yeah.
They're so mean to their people there.
Yeah. And Manitoba was the only province that experienced meaningful decline in sales, contracted by 7.5% to 15.4 million in the month. And just so you're up to date, Elon and stuff, if you hadn't heard, Kelly, Manitoba had won the court case about banning growing for cannabis. So people in Manitoba also lost, like the people in Quebec. You know, they can't even sell it at the store, and people can't even buy it.
They can't
even grow it now.
No, they can't. It's draconian, and I can't believe it.
Well, yeah, they're appealing it, but still.
Yeah. Alberta's got an even one. Saskatchewan's down, Newfoundland's down, Prince Edward Island's down. Yukon sales increased. I like seeing that the sales are going up there. No data was available in Northwest Territories or none of it, but nice to know that Yukon's doing some sales up there.
Well, yeah, and really up there, I don't know, their grow season would be really short, wouldn't it?
It is really short, but they've got a really nice cannabis community up in the Yukon. They're bringing a cup up there, a cannabis cup, and yeah, they're doing all kinds of really neat things up there. But they got to do it inside because they can't. They've got sunlight half the year, darkness half the year.
Yeah.
Need a greenhouse there.
Need a greenhouse. That's right. All right, on to the next story. Last one before the break from Marijuana Moment. It says the police group says Jersey City's lawsuit over off-duty marijuana use by officers is a waste of taxpayers' dollars.
Okay. The New Jersey Fraternal Order of Police is lashing out against a newly filed lawsuit by Jersey City officials that seeks to undo a state policy that generally allows police officers to use cannabis while off duty, calling the legal change an unfortunate waste of taxpayer dollars.
Jersey City and its public safety director, James Shea, sued the state in federal court on Monday, arguing that the policy released by the state attorney general's office in February is preempted by federal law.
The lawsuit, that fraternal organization said in a press release, risks undermining what otherwise clear guidance from state officials.
The law of the state of New Jersey and the guidance from the Office of the Attorney General clearly states that police officers may use cannabis while off duty, but are prohibited from being under the influence of cannabis while engaged in the performance of the duties. The members of the New Jersey State Lodge of the Fraternal Order of Police abide by the law and will continue to do so. Jersey City's attempt to muddy these clear directives through the frivolous litigation is an unfortunate waste of taxpayers' money. Yeah, these guys are off. If they're off duty, just like you, me, or anybody else, why can't they be allowed to consume cannabis?
They go to Jamaica on a vacation. You know, they're not even in the same country. Why can't they?
Are they allowed? They're allowed. I'm sure they're allowed to drink.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Jersey City's lawsuit cites a federal statute that prevents people who use cannabis from acquiring firearms or ammunition. It argues city officials would be forced to violate federal law under the state policy because they would be required at minimum to provide ammunition to officers who they know are users of cannabis.
So they won't allow it because they have ammunition.
That's what it is. And
you tell me, I think I'd rather be around somebody with cannabis and a gun than somebody with alcohol and a gun.
No guns at all, but yes.
Yeah, no guns at all. I completely agree there. But Yeah, the suit also says the police who use cannabis are themselves committing felonies because they must possess and receive a firearm and ammunition in order to be a police officer. A plain reading of the federal firearms policy, however, suggests a different standard applies when firearms are distributed by government agencies.
Okay. Federal policy says it shall be unlawful for any person to sell or otherwise dispose of any firearm or ammunition to any person knowing or having reasonable cause to believe that such person is an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance.
Okay, well, if it's illegal in the state, it's not an unlawful use,
Right.
Unless they're looking at it as being federal, because it does say federal above that.
Sure.
Yeah. It shall be unlawful for any person who is unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance to ship or transport in interstate or foreign commerce or possess in or affecting commerce any firearm or ammunition or to receive any firearm or ammunition which have been shipped or transported in interstate for foreign or foreign commerce.
Why does it have to have addicted in there? Like user of or addicted to any controlled substance? Like this just feels so funny to me. What if you're addicted to the pills they give you?
I would think somebody who's addicted to a substance is a user of that substance, would they not?
Right. They got to throw that in there. It's very strange here.
Yeah.
It talks about their different provisions here. Jersey City Police Department has terminated several officers over positive THC metabolic tests and has stood firm against the state's policy permitting off-duty cannabis use. 2 administrative law judges who recently in August have ruled against the city and ordered the reinstatement of 2 fired police officers with back pay.
As Jersey City officials emphasized at a press conference, no test is available to reliably show an officer is impaired by cannabis during work. Allowing law enforcement officers to use marijuana at all, officials says, puts public safety at risk and exposes the city to legal liability. Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad to see that admit that there's no test, because we've been saying that for years as patients.
No tests. It goes on. It's a bit of a long article going on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The case. I know we're getting close to break, but wow, that just feels so. At least they've got people, the police union reps that are fighting for this. And you were exactly right. That does say that they can't consume alcohol. I bet that's not in there. They're having a 4th of July barbecue down there. They're going to have some beer. They're going to go back on that.
What if the officer is prescribed Oxycontin or Percocet?
That's what I was just saying. They get them the pills. They become addicted to the pills. Use of addicted to Oxycontin or some other pill that they're going to give. No problem there. But cannabis? Come on. No.
Yeah, wow. Exactly. Well, it's break time. Time to medicate. Kelly and I will be right back after our medical session. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you think of the number of unique products developed in the fields, kitchens, and labs at Legacy 420, it's hard to think that one stands out above the rest. But tell that to the thousands of people who have tried this amazing breakthrough product.
This is our Sacred Salve. This is actually our extra strength. It comes in 5 different strengths. It's all natural, all organic. It typically works within 10 to 15 minutes of putting it on. It's good for arthritis, it's good for inflammation, any kind of pain. We're very proud of it.
Sacred Salve, so easy to apply, along with soothing relief. To select a strength that's right for you, come in and talk to your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Pace Radio Network. By patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com.
Let's share PACE everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education. Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And Rev Kelly and I are back from a medication session to bring you some more news. But before we do that, I've got a comment for you, Rev Kelly. This comes from Alexis Fox. She is the founder and president at Responsible Cannabis Consumers. She's a past guest on the Pace Radio show. She says, because it was on the story talking about, I mentioned briefly in there about Manitoba shutting down the grow rights for people in their province. And she says, are they joining the U.S. with their new laws in Manitoba and Quebec? Geez, talking about ruining a good thing. Exactly.
Yeah, we agree with you, Alexis.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. On to the next story. Headline from CTV News says, more seniors in Montreal are using cannabis. And that's according to a survey.
And that's 1 in 4 Montrealers. And they say they are now using cannabis. That's according to new data by Montreal public health officials.
According to Inquit, there's a survey that was done in Quebec on cannabis. It says there has been a boost in cannabis usage from 17% in 2018 to 23% in 2022. The increase is most notable in people of ages 35 to 44, as well as those 55 years and up.
The survey finds no difference in teens aged 15 to 17 and young adults 18 to 24. No difference. From a public health point of view, these data support the path taken by Quebec with strict supervision and a government-owned company in charge of sales. That comes from the CIUSSS. These results provide a better understanding of the situation in Montreal and will help support prevention and harm reduction efforts.
Yeah, when you sell cauliflower as a cannabis edible, it's no wonder it doesn't sell.
Yeah.
The survey states the frequency of cannabis use remains stable, but modes of use have become more diverse, such as increase in oral drops, beverages, and capsules. See the chart there?
Yeah, that's a neat chart there. Survey noting that the Société Québécoise de Cannabis sales are up from 46% in 2019 to 68% in 2022. So they're increasing.
Meanwhile, the number of Montrealers who say they bought cannabis from illegal sources is down from 27% in 2018 to just 7% in 2022.
Right.
Legalization has led to trivialization of cannabis consumption, says Center of the Montreal cannabis end of things. On the contrary, more Montrealers believe that cannabis consumption entails health risks.
Oh, where are they getting this from? Come
on. From the broccoli and cauliflower.
This is what they're saying. 7% use illegal substances now in Quebec. They're just stopped. Right? They've just stopped all of a sudden because they can buy their cauliflower and their broccoli. Come on. That's all they can get at the stores for edibles.
Thanks.
Okay. Nonetheless, the social acceptability of occasional consumption for non-medical purposes has increased from 47% in 2018 to 63% in 2022. So it's a little bit more acceptable there now.
Officials conclude that strict cannabis regulations have resulted in consumers switching to the legal market while avoiding an increase in use among young people. From my understanding, across the country, the youth consumption really hasn't gone up.
Okay, well, the Regional Public Health Department hopes that releasing these results will help enhance knowledge of the reality in Montreal and support harm reduction and prevention efforts linked to cannabis consumption in the city. Oh my God, like it's bad, like it's so bad. We want harm reduction and prevention linked to cannabis consumption. Like it's, oh my God. Like, you're hiding. I want my cannabis consumption in the city. Montreal can't see me. My God. Wow.
Montreal can't. I know. All right. On to the next story. And this one comes to us from the Daily Mail. And this is upsetting because the headline on that, says that families forced to smuggle in life-saving cannabis oil for children with epilepsy amid shortages of medical wonder drug in the UK.
These are the kind of articles I can't.
Doesn't sound right, does it?
These are the hardest articles to read that we read. Desperate families are turning to drug smuggling to keep their severely epileptic children alive amid. Yep. Can you hear me? Am I muted? Are we there? Can you hear me? I'm going to keep reading. Do you want to jump in? Are you frozen? I think Al might be frozen. I'm pretty sure Al's frozen. I'm not frozen. Either that or I'm frozen.
Parents whose children are
I'm not sure. I'm hoping that Al's reading this. Oh, look at the article.
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, I'm gonna shut that article down, Rev Kelly, because there's so many pop-ups going on. It's just
I think that was what it was.
Making a
I
mess.
think that's what it was.
But
we'll try to find that article in a different way because it's an important conversation for sure.
Yeah. Why are parents having to risk going to jail to smuggle cannabis oil into the country in order for the children? That's not right.
No, it shouldn't be happening.
It should not be happening.
But it is all over the world.
It's not the first time it's happened over there.
Nope. No, we've heard this fight for a long time. Mortgaging their homes to be able to pay for the medicine that they have to smuggle in. Sometimes we've reported on that in these past couple of years. It's just it's awful.
Yeah.
But the more that we talk about it, so maybe we'll post it on LinkedIn where we're allowed to post news.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next story. And this one says Georgia will be first U.S. state where pharmacies sell medical cannabis. This comes to us from, I believe, CTV News. Yep, CNN, it says.
And for the past year and a half, medical cannabis company CEO Gary Long has spent a lot of his time reassuring Georgia's small-town mayors about what will soon be coming to their local pharmacy, medical cannabis.
They think that we're going to be selling joints out of the pharmacy or something, and that's not right, says Long, whose company, Botanical Sciences, is one of 2 licensed medical cannabis production companies in Georgia.
Why are they not selling joints? Contrary to what anxious local leaders may think, weed sodas, they're saying, won't be sold alongside the Coke Zero at their local pharmacy. But by the end of the year, people who meet the extremely narrow criteria spelled out in Georgia's conservative medical cannabis law are expected to have the opportunity to buy low-dose THC products at their pharmacy. It's a first in the United States. It sounds like it's so scary, though. They can't have any of the good stuff, but we can give them the low
Yeah,
dose.
it's the low dose. Like, what's going on
Okay.
there?
Okay.
Yeah, it's like using what we have here in Canada, 10 milligrams.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Georgia Board of Pharmacy is currently processing applications from pharmacies around the state that want to sell low-dose THC products. Under Georgia law, the THC content can only be up to 5% THC. One of the key reasons doctors may suggest patients use medical cannabis to help with pain, nausea, insomnia, and other issues. Products can include THC oil, tinctures, topicals, capsules, and lozenges.
No flour in any kind. No
None
flour.
of that, no.
None.
No.
Natural chains such as CVS and Walmart won't be selling THC products in Georgia, but Long said 130 local pharmacies have already agreed to sell this product exclusively. Of course they would. They'd be like, oh, I'll take it. The state has more than 400 independent pharmacies and may seem interested in getting that special THC sale license, according to the professional association representing those stores. That would be 90% Georgians within a 30-minute drive from a pharmacy that could sell it. Okay.
Other states, such as Connecticut, require pharmacists to be on staff at the dispensaries, but pharmacies do not sell the products. There are at least 3 states other than Georgia that have a law on the books that would allow pharmacies to sell, but they have not implemented the law, according to Andrew Turner, the executive director of the GA Access to Medical Cannabis Commission.
This is very interesting. So could you go in technically then and to this pharmacy and buy a product without a prescription or a medical license, just a THC product, 5%, oil or something, like a 3-to-1, or you know what I mean? I'm wondering if that's what they're offering here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds maybe like that's what they're offering, because you can buy CBD products, they can buy gummies and vitamins and stuff with their farm bill, right?
Well, they had a list there, the lozenges and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if that's what they're doing here, and you don't need a prescription to do it, and that's sort of their
I
model
think
here.
you're probably going to need a prescription.
Okay, we're going to find out.
Or a referral from a doctor.
I'm wondering. Other states, such as Connecticut, require pharmacists to be on staff. Did we say that already?
Yeah.
Making medical cannabis so accessible is such a traditionally conservative deep south state like Georgia caught some by surprise last week after Long's company put out a new release about how products would soon be available at pharmacies. Even late night television host Jimmy Kimmel did a skit about it. Wow. Because it's so conservative. That's why I'm wondering, what are they doing? What's their model?
I've never seen anything like it, Long said of the sudden attention. Before moving into the medical cannabis field, he was an executive in the more buttoned-up healthcare technology business. My 20-year-old kids were like, "Dad, you just went viral," and I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Pharmacist Jonathan Marquis said patients have been asking for this kind of access for years. These are patients in my area that I can talk to all the time who've been begging for this.
Yep, the Georgia General Assembly approved the distribution of low-dose THC oil in 2019, but it has taken years for the state to create a regulatory infrastructure to sell it. Wow.
So that's what they want, the oil. Creating regulations is a little tricky, experts say. Well, there's been a movement to change the designation. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration still lists cannabis as a Schedule I substance, meaning that there is no current accepted medical use and a belief that it has a high potential for abuse. Since the federal government's put cannabis in the same category as heroin, LSD, and meth, technically, it's illegal to sell any form of cannabis.
Yeah, but and here we are, reading stories about LSD being used for people,
right?
Just like magic mushrooms.
You can't even put that into the same grouping as heroin and meth.
Yeah.
No.
It's federally illegal for a pharmacist, I'm pretty certain, to dispense cannabis, but it's also federally illegal to do anything with cannabis, says Jay Wexler, a professor of law at the Boston University School of Law and the author of Weed Rules, a book focused on legalization.
The Justice Department is limited by a rider in appropriations that prohibits it from using any money to prosecute anyone who is acting consistently with state laws that allows the use of cannabis for medical purposes. Even
Yeah,
allows.
so within the legal gray area, Governor Brian Kemp was able to sign off on Georgia Board of Pharmacy rules last month that cleared the way for pharmacies to sell it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. I'm looking over at the time. We got 2 more stories, but it's good to see that
Really good to see.
Georgia, people are going to have access, and access is important.
Access is the first step.
Correct. And like I know here in Canada, some of the pharmacists in the beginning were, they were completely against it, but
Right.
now more of them want to be involved in it.
I hope so.
So see what happens in time. All right. Next story. This one comes to us from CBC, and the headline says, being arrested in Japan convinced Olympic snowboard champ Ross Rebagliati, I knew I was going to mess that up, to devote his life to cannabis.
It took me a lot of practice. 5 years after the legalization of cannabis in Canada, he's an Olympic gold medalist. He's a cannabis entrepreneur. Ross Rebagliati says government restrictions and stigma are hurting the growth of the industry in this country.
He was a guest on the Pace Radio show, so I was able to speak directly to him to try to say his name right, and I still struggle. Ross rode his snowboard to gold at the Winter Olympics back in 1998, and despite the fact that cannabis was not on the International Olympic Committee's list of banned substances, he was stripped of his medal 3 days later when the drug was found in his system.
Yeah, remember that. Rebagliati protested the decision to take away his medal, claiming the trace amounts of cannabis in his urine were most likely from secondhand cannabis smoke. Ultimately, his medal was returned because cannabis was not found to be performance enhancing.
But he said the moment prompted him to pursue a career in cannabis. He says, I actually had the idea when I was being held in the Nagano police station. He said in an interview with CBC this week, I am going to fight for this plant for the rest of my life, start a cannabis company, and show everybody that cannabis is what cannabis is really all about. Yeah.
He took on other jobs to fund his dreams. He kept at it, founding medical cannabis dispensary Ross's Gold in 2013. Wow.
Yeah. And on February 8th, 2023, 25 years to the day since he won his gold in Japan, Ross's Gold products started being sold in licensed dispensaries, a moment Rebagliati said gave him as much pride as his Olympic victory.
Yeah. I remember his wife made a post that day, and I read her post, and it was just really beautiful to say, we fought for this long, and look what happened 25 years ago and where we are now. So it's wonderful how far they've come.
Yeah, we'll touch on some of the, I don't know if we'll get to the last story, but we'll touch on some of the questions they have here in the interview with him. And it says that we're 5 years into legalization. How do you think we've done? What do you think?
Well, it's been turbulent, to be honest about it. Personally, I'm ecstatic because we finally got to market with the Ross's Gold brand and have products in the stores. So on a different level, it was an amazing ride. But the industry is hurting right now.
Yeah, people are having a hard time paying their employees and affording the taxes and the whole 9 yards when it comes to starting a cannabis company and getting your brand out there. Imagine it has been.
Yeah, he talks about taxes first off, the holdups in his mind. He goes on to talk about the excise tax. So he's really championing the little guys, right? And he's talking about the producers paying $1 a gram. It doesn't sound like much, but when it's based on a $10 a gram sell price to the producers, and the reality is maximum that they're getting $3. He's talked about that on a show that he was on my platform. I'm going to say he's probably talked about that on yours. That's one of his things that he talks about the most is the excise taxes. And good for him for continuing this up.
Keep fighting. Yeah, you can see here it's an interview, right? So you can see a bunch of questions and stuff.
Yeah, it's a great article.
Check that out at CBC.
Fantastic.
I'd say it was on our Facebook page, but it's not.
But it's not. Nope, LinkedIn.
It's not. It's not. Okay, last story. we got a couple minutes, if that. Okay, we'll see what we got here. And it says, in this last story from the San Francisco Gate, extremely rare pot discovered 50 years ago is finally available in California. What do you think this is, this rare cannabis?
I'm so excited to read that. In 1970, researchers at the University of Oxford were investigating a cannabis sample when they found a chemical that they'd never before known to science. It wasn't CBD, it wasn't THC, the two most famous compounds. They called this new compound THCV.
Yeah, which is much easier than the whole word. For the next 50 years, THCV quietly developed a mythical status among cannabis connoisseurs, earning nicknames like the sports car weed or weed derail because it was rare and allegedly had astonishing effects. The few people who experienced it claimed THCV cannabis kept them awake while reducing their hunger. Cannabis hunters traveled across the world and risked their lives looking for THCV. Not yet. No one seemed to be able to find a consistent supply of it.
And it's changing. THCV is becoming increasingly available, particularly in California, where the legal cannabis market has been one of the best places in the world to find this rare cannabis product. Adults in California can now buy THCV mints infused with maca and pre-rolls, pills, espresso flavored shots. Wow, I want to go to California and try that out.
Yeah, it'd be yeah. The boon is thanks mostly to two sources. The federal legalization of hemp in 2018 has expanded the amounts of synthetic cannabinoids, making it possible for companies to buy lab-made THCV in bulk. Cannabis farming companies have also made rapid advances in growing pot plants that are naturally rich in it. But yeah, don't forget, the yeast things fermenting. We talked about those stories a couple years ago.
So they're synthetic then. Oh, hopefully they're saying the farmers maybe. No, we don't want synthetic cannabinoids. Thank you. They can keep their Rolls Royce of.
All right. Well, I'm just looking at the time there, Rev Kelly.
Yep. It's time.
We are out of it. Okay. I'm just trying to get the screen here. What's going on here? Come on, speed up, computer. Oh, yeah, it is the end. And StreamYard's not working for me.
It's been
It
funny
just gave
today.
me that notice.
It
said to me that do I want to wait for StreamYard or shut it off? Uh-oh.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay, we're done. We're good. It caught up. All right. Anything you want to mention before I hit the go button?
Have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.
All right. We'll see everybody on Thursday as I fill in for Rev Cindy. Other than that, don't forget our sponsors, Campbell Lifestyle Shop, Lime City Hydroponics.ca, and Legacy420.com. Other than that, we'll see you all on Thursday. Bye-bye.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop.
Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.